All right. So for FY 2027, the VCP, there are no substantive changes to the policy. The only thing I want to point out that substantively changed within the entire the salaries is that the personnel board approved yesterday at our board meeting a 3% market rate adjustment for all pay grade, all three pay scales. So all pay grades and within those three scales went up by 3%. This also moved the zone 3 maxes up 3% and the maximum salaries for each pay grade up 3%. The only other thing that changed was this year during the session, the legislature approved statutory changes to the academic teacher and school attendance officer special comp plans or pay scales, and so we adjusted their special comp plans accordingly. Looking at the appropriations language that's in every one of our appropriation bills, they once again have line items, personal services, and vacancy amounts. And so you have a total number, then you have a vacancy amount, and then the difference would be what you have for your current employees. It also says that you can't transfer funds into or out of this category. The next section has your compliance report language. So this is where we get our reports from, at least the rules behind them, as well as how each one works. So the first bullet point there is that we're supposed to do a compliance report on a year-to-date basis and a monthly basis. The second bullet point covers the year-to-date expenditures, and it covers the current fiscal year. So it covers FY 2027. The second piece is the personal services amount on a monthly basis. This is the monthly compliance report. Each month, this annualizes the monthly payroll expenditures to make sure that you don't spend more money or are not forecasted to spend more money for next fiscal year. And you are authorized for this current fiscal year.
2027 VCP 2 participants entering lobby 2. FY 2027 VCP/policy overview web.
The bill goes on to say, I'm just so distracted right now, that if you are out of compliance on either report, we will not be able to process transactions for you until such time as the provisions of your appropriation bill are met, with the exception of new hires determined to be essential for the agency. All right. The language goes on to say, unless specifically noted, all of your current escalations will be converted to authorized time limited during conversion. And so we will be doing that during conversion. Additionally, they've funded headcount by new headcount by job family. So we'll work with you. Actually had a conversation with an agency yesterday about job families and how do we pick levels and that kind of thing. But we'll work with you if you got new headcount in your appropriation bill. We'll work with you on figuring out the correct levels within the family that was approved. Lastly, one agency has restrictive language that we will be tasked with enforcing during next fiscal year. So as a reminder, we have 650 job classifications in our inventory right now. Each of these classifications is assigned to one of our three pay plans, whether that's the general pay plan, the IT pay plan, or the medical pay plan. And then each job is assigned to a pay grade within their respective plan. Each grade has a minimum market maximum salary. Like I mentioned, markets are going up 3% for FY 2027. We have 4 salary zones in there to help you if you need it. Most of you know what you're paying already and don't need the need the guidance, but it's there if you're interested. Again, it's your job to maintain equity by considering peers with the same attributes, and all of them all of your salary determinations are subject to equity audits. Legislative funding mechanisms, salary progressions, cost of living, and performance are the three things that the legislature can fund every year. They did not fund any this year for anyone except for two agencies got salary progressions. So other than those two agencies, no one had line item salary progressions, cost of living, or performance funding. Within the plan, there's the opportunity to award compensation increases for your employees within the funds available, for title changes, for promotions. The difference between those two, title change is somebody meets your internal criteria to go from an accountant 1 to an accountant 2. And so we're going to change their title to an accountant 2. Promotions are different from title changes in that you have a vacant position that you are going to promote an internal candidate into that vacant position. I've had a lot of confusion over the past 2 months about the concept of, or difference in concepts between title change and promotion. Title change, the position number doesn't change, but the title does. Promotion, the position number changes. All right. In-range adjustments. These are just the salary progressions for educational attainment, longevity, equity, experience, performance, whatever it is you choose to do. You can do up to 7%. That number did not change for next fiscal year. There's rules for demotions. There's rules for us to implement legislative increases if they were funded. And again, everything we're looking at from an equity standpoint. Additional comp, all were carried forward for FY27 without modification. And so those are extensive travel, standby pay, callback pay, shift pay, location pay, special duty pay, all of those will still exist in FY 2027. These special comp plans, as I mentioned, they were all carried forward without modification except for the teachers and the school attendance officers. That's based on legislation that passed this session to increase those amounts. Teachers went up $2,000. School attendance officers went up $5,000. So in addition to the VCP, a couple of things I wanted to point out to you guys. Appropriation bills. All appropriation bills have been signed by the governor. If you have not read your appropriation bill at this point, you're doing a disservice to your agency. But they're all out there, they're all approved. Other than two agencies, like I mentioned, the progression amount provided for your agency was $0. We run preliminary numbers from March payroll based on your FY27 numbers. It's going to be very, very tight for a lot of us. I think, especially when you factor in March payroll, probably didn't include your workers' comp and your unemployment payments and things like that. It's going to be incredibly, incredibly tight. It also doesn't include the PERS increase for July 1st or the health insurance increase for July 1st. These are all things you should be factoring in when making plans for next fiscal year. I've had 3 agencies reach out about across the board increases. And my first question is, how are you paying for it? Because we have your numbers for next year. And while you may be fine for this year to afford it, your next year numbers are already out there, and we're going to be making sure you're in compliance with those as well. After appropriation bills, we move on to the topic of double pinning. Now, this doesn't come up very often, but it is becoming a bigger issue now because in order to double pin in SPARS, every attribute on the pin has to match. And in most cases, this hasn't been an issue until PERS Tier 5 went live on March 1st. And so on March 1st, every new hire should be coded as PERS Tier 5. Well, in theory, if you're double pinning someone with a new hire, they will be Tier 5 and your person leaving will be tier 2, 3, or 4. And so those will never match. We've had a couple of meetings with MMRS and Elbow about how to rectify this. We have another meeting on Monday afternoon to hopefully look at what they've come up with from a technology standpoint over at MMRS to implement this. But tentatively, we're going to be creating a new type of position that's escalated for double pinning purposes. It would have an expiration date like your normal time limited escalated positions do, but it would be whatever type for the position. So we in theory will have permanent escalated positions for this double pinning situation. Once we have an answer that we feel like is workable for us, for you, and for the legislature, we will roll that out and get y'all more information. But we are working on it. It's just not ready yet. After double pinning, we have PERS Tier 5, which I mentioned became effective on March 1st, 2026. Since then, and as of Wednesday, which is when I pulled the numbers, there are 649 new hires in EC as of Wednesday. 41% of them are not coded for Tier 5. So MMRS is supposed to be reaching out to you individually to fix this. Or at least notify you of the issue and walk you through how to fix it. But I figured since I had a captive audience, I would go ahead and mention you need to make sure that your new hires who are new to the system are coded as PERS Tier 5 on the position itself. I had a couple of people call me because they couldn't do it on the hire itself. You cannot modify a position on the new hire. You have to hire the person and then go to the manage position screen through the position org chart to change the PERS pin code to Tier 5. So there's that. Processing actions, just as a reminder, we operate on a first in, first out basis. You're not the only agency your analyst is assigned. There's 76 master agencies under our purview, and I have 8 analysts. So you can do the math on that, but we run a high volume, we clear them out as quick as we can, but we do operate on a first in, first out basis. When you submit an action, there's no need to email, call, or both to let us know you've submitted it. All right, we get an email from the system, just like y'all do when we approve things or send things back or put a comment on there. You also don't need to slap an action in the system and call 3 minutes later to let us know that it's in there and can we go, please look at it and approve it. We operate first in, first out. We're not sitting over here twiddling our thumbs. We're working through this. So I know sometimes it's an emergency. Sometimes we miss somebody for payroll, but we do operate out of respect for everyone on this call on a first in, first out basis. All right. Lastly, I'm sorry, 2 more things. Pay equity. Kelly asked me to explain this to you again, like in simpler terms. So I've done my best here. If we get a salary increase for Sally, or Sally's a new hire, and we ask you, why are we paying Sally more than Betty? We don't care what Sally does every day. Sally's probably a great person. She probably comes to work on time, and does everything she's supposed to do, and is a good team player, and her peers love her, and her boss loves her. But we don't really care about all that. We do care about Sally's differences from Betty. Is her job different? They in the same job class, but have 2 different roles. That's what we care about. If the job doesn't differ, does Sally have different qualifications for Betty? Does she have a higher level of education, more years of experience? Does she have a particular license or certification that makes her more valuable to you than Betty? Is her performance better? But we want, if there's an issue on paper between Sally and Betty's salary, we'd like for you to explain to us why that difference exists. Because if there is no difference in the job, their qualifications, etc., their salary should be pretty close to equitable. All right. Now, lastly, I forgot about that slide. SPARS. I know this is a topic of conversation. Horn/BDO, they got bought out by BDO. and MMRS have expressed confidence they will be ready to go live on July 1st of 2026. In-person training, just so you can go ahead and mark your calendars now, will be scheduled for the week of May 11th and the week of May 18th. They will be in-person training. It will be in a computer lab. You will have access to SPARS and be able to go through the various exercises that we have scheduled and plan to go through. So just go ahead and block off. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of those weeks. There'll be morning sessions, there'll be afternoon sessions. But with the rollout of EC not having this available, we felt it was important that we have in classroom hands-on training for the SPARS rollback. Because June, we will have to clear all pending transactions, complete fiscal year conversion in SPARS, and then roll it into a cloud environment all within the month of June. Lockout day will be June the 3rd. This is 2 months notice, or not quite, month and a half notice, but June 3rd at close of business will be lockout day for fiscal year conversion this year. More information from us concerning policy revisions, and back to this, those of you who've been around pre-EC, remember we used to have 2 copies of the org chart. Well, with EC went live, we took the org chart policy out of the manual because the org charts are in EC. If we're back in SPARS, there's no org chart in EC. So we're still figuring out what that looks like on our end, but we will be sending you more information about our policy changes as a result of this rollback. For more information about the rollback itself, that is not our place to do that. MMRS is the lead on this project. The information concerning the rollback will come from them. So I will end my presentation and open the floor for questions.
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
It's Maureen.
Hi, Maureen.
Hi. With the 6/3 date in mind, do y'all need us to have actions like anything for 6/1 submitted by like the 15th of May? Or
well, I mean, in theory, no, in theory. But if you want it for June 1st, it needs to be in by May 31st. I mean, that's
okay. Well, I just didn't know if you needed us to try and get everything.
We would love it. We would love to have everything for June 1st by May 15th, but
okay.
We're not going to
I'm going to tell my internal people that so that
right.
we don't have too much hitting y'all at the end. Okay.
I mean, yes, in a perfect world, we'd have them as soon as possible, but we're not going to change our internal rules to say it's due by the 15th of May. It'll still be, we feel like between May 31st and when we actually start converting, probably that first Monday in June, we can clear everything out that's pending.
Okay, thanks, man.
What about July actions?
What?
What about July actions? If everything shuts down June 3rd and we need to get stuff in advance, what about stuff we got queued up for July?
So the stuff queued up for July, we'll be back in SPARS. So just like we couldn't before, we will not be able to enter July actions until after we open back up. We'll work with you on the July actions. Obviously, those can't be entered future dated because SPARS doesn't allow it.
Thanks.
But thank you for bringing that up. That's a good point. Those of you who haven't been around a while, SPARS does not allow you to future date things into the next fiscal year like EC does. And so you can't get your salary increases, title changes in early because SPARS won't let it. But we will work with you. Like I said, that will be one of those things that will be in our policy update as we get a little closer to go live. All right, so let's see. Yes, there is a health insurance increase and a PERS increase. That's a couple comments about that. The PERS increase is 0.5%. It goes live on July 1st. The health insurance increase, Daniel can hop in if he's on this call. I think it's $11 a person, maybe $12 a person per month starting on January 1st. So with the salary scales going up 3%, does that mean the employees in that category get an increase? No. The market rates go up, but they provided $0 for progressions. So I can't move everyone 3% with no money associated to pay for it. What does that mean for our contract entities we've already future dated for July 1st? Contract employees are not a state personnel board question. I would assume contract workers you've been for a future date of July 1st will not go through because we'll not be in EC after June 30th. So anything future dated for July 1st will not be part of that roll up to the cloud on July 1st. So you're probably gonna have to rekey those in SPARS. But that's an MMRS or PPRB question more than it is a personnel board question. Are we going to have EC to look at past information? That's a great question, Melody. I have no idea. Supposedly. But in what format and where and how to access it, I have no idea. Does the 7% max still remain in range? Yes, the 7% max it's still, we didn't raise or lower that for the next fiscal year. How will NeoGov work with PC codes? I'm gonna need more information on what you're talking about. I can't even. The date of training you mentioned, what will be the time of the training? Will any information be sent out? So the time, like I said, they'll be, in theory, we've trial run it with our team over at the Sun and Sand Computer Lab. It took about 3 hours, so we're hopeful to do one. I mean, again, this is things that I will be leading the trainings, but other than that, I know what will be covered in the trainings, but as far as communication, this is, and I had to reiterate this last week. We're end users just like you are. We don't control anything when it comes to the system itself. And so I don't know when the communication is going to come from from MMRS. But if you were to ask me speculate, it will be May 11th, 12th, and 13th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. There'll be one session at 8:30 in the morning, and there'll be another session at 1:30 in the afternoon. Both of them 3 hours each. Will you repeat the amount per person of the health insurance increase? It's $11 or $12, Haley. We'll put that out there somewhere. I'm not sure. I can't remember which exactly it is. But yeah, it's $11 or $12 a person per month for January 1st. We have to enter PC codes in NeoGov to post positions. SPARS doesn't provide those codes. I still don't know what a PC code is. Can somebody in recruitment chime? What is a PC code?
Is that those 2000 numbers that go with the pin?
The position code.
The
position
PC code is the position code, Ryan, which is the 200 number.
All right. So when we get back into SPARS, SPARS has the old agency and PIN number. I would imagine, again, I have seen nothing of the new system. I have not seen SPARS in the cloud. I haven't seen one screen from SPARS in the cloud. It's my understanding it will be a screen for screen rebuild of mainframe SPARS in the cloud on a website that we can access from anywhere. So I would presume NeoGov would go back to how it operated prior to EC. And so I don't know what that, I don't even remember what that looked like, but you'll still have to attach a position number to a requisition. Yes, I don't know what the process will look like when we get there. So will SPARS have employees' full histories, or is there a reset with the rollback? So SPARS right now, the way I understand it is EC is just a fancy interface for SPARS. And so all of the records that we've made in EC, at least on the position and the person, are already in SPARS. Now, all the beautiful comments that y'all write and we write, I don't know where that's going to go or if we're going to have access to it or anything like that. But the actual transactions themselves are recorded in SPARS because SPARS is, from what I've been told, still the system of record, and that's EC just writes into SPARS because SPARS is where we get paid.
Ryan, have you
Yes.
seen anything in regards to reports that's going to be available in SPARS, whether they can be downloaded, Excel and that type of stuff?
I have seen 0 screens from the new SPARS. Will SPB be bringing back the daily compliance report download from the agencies for tracking after July 1st? Maybe. We, having not seen anything, I don't think we're comfortable committing to anything. But potentially, Stephen, potentially. We'd like to, but until we know what it looks like, what format it comes out in, I think we're pretty hesitant to commit to anything right now. Currently, any remote work form acknowledgements are provided in EC. Will we need to provide those forms to SB? Again, that goes back, yes, somewhat, somehow we will have to figure that out. Horn, BDO, MMRS are adding that field to the demographic record in SPARS. As far as the documents itself, again, when we send out the updates to our policies as a result of this rollback, we'll make sure we address that for you, Mark White. For SPARS train up, Michelle, you got to come see me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for both the morning and the afternoon sessions. I'm kidding. It's 3 hours total. So there'll be 12 sessions. You pick one and attend it. I understand we may not have access to the notes. However, does this mean we don't have access to documents as well? Yeah, I don't know, Denicia. I don't think we will, but maybe. But all the attachments we've used throughout all the transactions, I don't know. There's a lot of I don't knows about this. Does MMRS have any HR SMEs working with them on this cloud-based SPARS system? So, I guess I would say other than Audrey, that's not a classification, compensation, or recruitment issue. That'd be a question best sent to the help desk. I think that's the best way I could answer that. Sorry, but so what kind of personnel data do we need to be sure to clean up in EC before crossing back over to SPARS? That's a great question. We will. So I've been thinking, those of you who have been around a while, we used to send y'all a conversion memo every year that said this is kind of what needs to happen between now and July 1st and deadlines for it and things like that. Things like the time limited screen, abolishments, create new positions, things like that. Since we don't have access to make changes in SPARS, and I say we don't either. Like I don't have the modify function in SPARS either. We're gonna have to figure that out. Lauren wants the conversion. We'll bring the conversion memo back, and it's just got 3 hearts. So we'll bring it back. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but those of y'all who remember SPARS, if you are appropriated 100 positions, you have to have 100 positions. You can't have 101. And so I would imagine most of you have not been super diligent about inactivating pins that you no longer need or beyond your head count. If you know which ones you want to get rid of, it would be helpful to go in and activate those. And I'll put that in the conversion memo. But ultimately, if you're appropriated 100 head count, we're going to need to get down to 100 by positions by go live. So, Kelsey, the lockout date will be June the 3rd. Since the legislature did not fund PERS or health, we just need to absorb that in our salary appropriation, correct? It's my understanding it was. When they debated each bill on the floor, they said it was. That feels like a elbow analyst question, not a classification, compensation, or recruitment question. The entire month of June. Well, no, not technically, Kelsey. Technically, it's only 27 days of the month of June. So, if your inactivated pins are still showing in SPARS, my advice would be to reach out to MMRS and tell them that you've been activated this position and it's still showing it active in SPARS. Will our SPARS user ID be changed or use the old one? You know, I've been told it will be the same. I've also been told that you won't have to do a TPX and a PH ID and password. You can use the same ID and password for both. I haven't seen it, but that's what I've been told. Any other questions? We already have SPARS access from anywhere. I wonder if it will be different. Oh, it will be different. So we do have SPARS access from anywhere. That is true. Personally, the VPN process that we have in place right now, is not user friendly or no, it's not user friendly. It's my understanding there will be a domain for spars.ms.gov or something like that, that you can literally, you don't have to use a VPN to connect to it. But yes, technically you have a VPN, you can access it from anywhere. So long as you don't want to send any messages or get emails while you're logged in or do anything else on the internet while you're doing SPARS, you can access SPARS from anywhere. Any last thoughts? All right, guys. Well, y'all have a great Friday, and we will be in touch.